The reason why we want to do this presentation is that we get a lot of requests for our display management because A, it is free with the panels, and especially when you start deploying a bunch of panels, the districts obviously want to know, hey, how do we manage these things remotely? So what we want to do is I'm going to go through how to set up an account and give you the background on that. Again, I'm going to send out instructions afterwards. So you'll have the website that you need to go to set up the account and all that stuff. But this will just be a good visual intro on how to set up an account. And then once we get done with that, that'll be a pretty brief intro. I'm going to pass it over to Agata. And Agata is actually in front of a panel, so this won't be a boring screen share all day. You'll actually see her doing stuff in front of the panel. And she's going to go through some of the things that display management can do, actual features in terms of changing settings and other things like that. So she's going to show you more of the hands-on stuff with what you can do. So let's jump right into creating an account. I know most people on this call already have Newline panels. I know some are looking at purchasing Newline panels. Again, this is going to be a completely free display management solution that we offer with all of our panels. So there's nothing, once you get a panel, you can feel free to go ahead and create an account and start linking your account. The first thing you're going to do is go to this website, and no need to write this down. Again, I'm going to send this out afterwards, but it is newline.glbth.com, and you're going to see this splash screen. And of course, you're not going to have a sign-in yet because you're going to need to create a sign-in. So what we're going to do is show you how to create your initial admin sign-in. The first two options, continue with Google and continue with Microsoft. I think we're all pretty familiar with that, so I'm not going to go through those. Just because I'm sure we've all done that with our phones and other stuff. But let's say you don't want to go that route and you want to just register from scratch. So let's go ahead and click this register button. It's going to pop up with this screen. Where some people get confused initially is this first one, the first line where it says admin at. What you want to do here, this is not an email address. This is actually an account name. So from here, you're going to create an account. So you're going to keep admin at, and then I'm going to use a school district here locally that has already created an account. So I'm going to use Sultan School District. So let's say I was at Sultan and I wanted to create an account. I could start typing in right after this admin at, I'm just going to type in Sultan, S-U-L-T-A-N, and I'm going to click tab. You're going to see from here, this account already exists. So when you're adding the account, there's no .coms, none of that stuff. It's strictly just the name that you want that account to be. So since Sultan's already taken, I can go ahead and add an SD for school district. And now I can see that that's not taken. So that will be my account for this. If I was setting up Sultan, that would be my account is Sultan SD. So don't think of it as an email address, just think of it as an account name. From here, you're just going to go ahead and do password, email. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory, and click register. Once you do this, I would highly recommend try to keep your account name small because you are going to have to type this into the panels, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So don't type out Sultan School District, or else you're going to be pretty frustrated when you're going up to every panel and you're typing in 30 different characters. So keep it small, keep it something that you can remember. And once you get that account set up, your main admin account, now again, this is setting up the initial account. This is not setting up users. Your main admin account is going to be admin at, and in this example, Sultan SD. So I'm going to go back to my sign-in screen. Our account for Newline, our company account is Newline Interactive US, as you can see right here. So my username is SOTool at Newline Interactive US. I'm going to go ahead and click login. And this is going to be my dashboard. I'm going to hold off on this for 1 second because once you initially set up your account, you're going to see zeros everywhere. You're going to have no devices, one user, because that's just going to be your admin, and that's it. So the next step you're going to need to do is go up to a panel. We're going to need to link a panel to this account. So if you've seen our panels before, once you turn on a panel, this is the home screen that you're going to see. And let me get the little draw tool out here. You're going to go up to your panel and you're going to click Gadgets right here. And you're going to look for this icon. It says Newline Display Management. If you don't have that icon, we just need to do a firmware upgrade on the panel. Just reach out to myself or Agata. We can, and she can forward those to me too. We can get you set up with a firmware upgrade. If you see this one right here that says Display Management by itself, disregard that one. That's an older version, which doesn't do nearly as much as our new one does. So you're going to want to use this one right here that says Newline Display Management with that fancy icon right there. And once you click that button, it's going to pop up with this screen. And again, this is going to be on your panel. The only thing that you really care about is this part where it says account name. So from here, in our example with Sultan SD, I would just type in Sultan SD right there. That's my account name. That at that moment, this panel will be linked to my account. Of course, there's no association with users or anything, but that is the only steps you need to link to an account. When you click enroll, it is going to pop up with an additional screen, which is which allows you to rename the panel. So if you want to put a particular school or classroom, you can do that. That's more just for an internal use for you, so you don't need to do it. And it's also, excuse me, and you're also going to get an email that shows that you have credits added to your account. Basically, that's just verifying, yes, you have a panel that's now enrolled in your account. So now at this point, we essentially have this panel enrolled to our account that we're using as a demo account. And from here, I'm going to get into my dashboard. And at this point, I'll see, okay, now I have one device. And I am going to, at this point, what I want to do is I want to be able to associate that panel either with a user or kind of, hey, where is it, a high school panel, depending on how I want to associate my panels. First thing I'm going to do is go over here. You're going to see this little, the two little people here, and that's for your users. As you can see, these are all the Newline users. Again, your initial account, you're only going to have the very first one, which is going to say admin at, and then whatever your account is. And up in this upper right corner, there's a little plus icon. I'm going to click that for adding a user. This very first drop-down menu. And again, it's just like the initial registration screen. This allows me to select kind of the type of user. Do I want to add them through my Google account? Am I a Microsoft district and I want to use a Microsoft account? Or this top one that says VSO user, that was where we initially did the registration part on the first screen, not where we bypassed register with Microsoft, register with Google, where we kind of did it manually. So if we did VSO account, and again, once I go here, I'm going to put in the that username. So for here, it's going to be, for me, SOTool, and then at my account, which is Newline Interactive US. So again, it's not really an email address in that sense. Down here, you're going to have 4 options for what type of user it is. Really only pay attention to user and admin. Those are really the most important ones. Admin is somebody who's going to be able to see every single panel. So that's going to be the initial account. You can have as many admins as you want. There's no limit to admins. And then at the school level, if you have certain people at the schools that you want to see certain panels, you'll go ahead and make them users. And then with the user part, you'll go ahead and add a tag. So this system works off tagging. So if I go ahead and I do high school as a tag, or let's say I just want to do HS, that means that this person on any panel that is tagged with HS, which I can show you how to do in a second, they will only be able to see those panels. Now, one important thing with tagging is that tagging, do not use spaces, do not use symbols like periods and things like that. And tagging is case sensitive. So if you do capital HS for high school, make sure under the panel that you tag, you put capital HS as well. There's 2 ways to tag a panel. You can either do it through the portal, which I'd recommend doing once you go to that individual panel on the dashboard. Let me get out of this screen here. Once I go into individual panel, you can see here, these panels have tags. Here's actually Agata's demo. So she has 2 tags. So I have a panel linked to this account. I can go ahead and tag it from here. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. The other way to tag a panel is once you enroll your panel here and you get to that next screen, there will be an empty spot to tag it. So if you're at the panel, you can go ahead and add that tag immediately at the panel rather than in the portal. So those are going to be the 2 ways to tag your panels. Again, case sensitivity is going to be huge because you'll never be able to see, a user won't be able to see the panel if the case sensitivity is different under their tagging versus what you have on the panel. So that was, I want to make a quick rundown on how to get an account going. I'm going to jump over to Agata, but any questions on that stuff, and feel free to pop them in the chat box. And while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and switch over to Agata so she can show you not seeing a busy portal like I have, but just down to a single unit and what we can do with the actual portal to talk to the panels. Agata, I don't know if you saw any questions in the chat box there.
I did. We have one question, and that is, if we are wanting to create the initial admin account, do we have to click register and then everyone after that selects Google or Microsoft?
No, so the initial admin account is only done one time. So any user is not going to create an account through that screen. You're going to add them through that user screen. Let me get back over. So if you want the initial admin account, that's the only time you're going to create an account from that main splash screen that we were initially on. Let me actually go back to it really quick, which is this guy right here. So that's just your initial account. Once that's done, no one else is going to create an account using this screen. It's going to be the admin logging in and going over here to users and clicking the add button. From here, you're going to start creating accounts. So don't have users create accounts to the main screen because they'll never be able to connect. What it's going to do is try to create an actual brand new account, not just the one that you're trying to associate them with. Anything else there, Agata?
Does the firewall rules, or what, are there any specific firewall rules that need to be opened up for the panel to talk to the cloud controller?
Yeah, so we actually have a white paper. I can send that out too. I'll write a note. So we have a white paper on ports that need to be open. And then, of course, our tech support is extremely knowledgeable on this. So if we need to get tech support involved, they're more than happy to help you set up your accounts as well. Anything else before we switch to Agata? Okay, Agata, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and then are you ready to share yours?
I'm on mute. Yes, I am whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect.
I'm talking to myself over here.
No, you're good. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Go ahead, and then we'll switch to Agata. She's going to get into more of what you can do with display management.
Awesome. All right, Sean. So I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And Sean, let me know when you guys can see me.
You are good.
All right, fantastic. So once we have set up that initial account, what exactly can we do, right? So Sean mentioned this dashboard right here. This is my personal dashboard. He was showing you my account with my demo panel, my one very lonely device. But what kind of actions can we take and what kind of information can we get from this? So here are all my devices. As Sean mentioned with things like sub-admin, so Sean was actually using our master account for the Newline group. And remember those filters and tags he talked about, when you tag a panel and then your users get connected to those tags, you'll notice the same tags Sean was seeing, I see here. So my panel is tagged in such a manner that I can see it, even though I am a sub-administrator. So that kind of brings those two together, right? You're going to tag the panel, and then each sub-admin underneath you is going to have tags associated with their account, and then they're going to be able to see their displays. Now, as a sub-administrator, one of the things that happens is I cannot see any other panels but my own. So that tag applies to me. I can see all the different groups, which Sean could have showed you on his end, since he is our super admin today, but I cannot. So I cannot do anything to any of those panels. So when you have site techs that are helping you out underneath your sub-admin enrolling, if they have multiple sites, they get multiple tags, they can see those displays. Also, one other thing to mention, the master account that Sean just walked us through setting up, that is the only account that can add and subtract users. So as the director of IT, you're going to have the functionality, whereas nobody else will. If you look on the left side here, I do not have a user section at all. So as a sub-admin, I cannot add or take away users. So what can I do? Number one, I can see and I can view all of the statistics on my display. I'm going to tap on my demo unit here. It's going to pull up this screen for me, and there's a couple things I want to talk about. On the left side here at the bottom, there is a Newline section. This shows me the settings of my display. So if I look at my display right here and I scroll down, I can see my energy saving, for example, is set to never. My auto power on is enabled at 7:30. So I can see the basic details of my panel. At the very bottom, I can also see my firmware that I'm running, whether my toolbars are on, and things like that. So this will give you all the details basically on how the panel is set. It does also give you network information. So if you need to look at the network information, some of the stuff, I'm not gonna lie, is a little beyond me, but it does give you a wealth of information as far as your internet connectivity. So keep in mind, The way that we designed the NDM Plus is it is actually built specifically for a Newline panel, so we can affect all of the different settings that are built in. All right, in the center here, you're gonna see all of my applications. So this is everything that's running on my display right now. From here, I can disable applications, re-enable them, delete them. So somebody manages to get something that you don't want them having, you can lock them out of it, you can remove it altogether. That is the power that the admin has. So in that sense, the only reason that I know this is a funny story. I accidentally disabled my own settings menu when I was testing this the first time. And I had to call support because I couldn't access my settings anymore on my display. They had to walk me through and they had to re-enable my settings for me. So that was great. A little embarrassing, but it happened. My personal favorite part, on the right side, we have some actions, and I'm gonna go through all of these on the main screen real quick. But my favorite part is that remote piece right there. Let's say you have 12 school sites and somebody calls you. Hey, Sean, my panel is shutting down after 30 minutes. I don't know how to change the setting. Where do I find that? Right? Sean would actually be able to request access. I would go to my home screen. He would be able to request access by hitting that remote button. I would allow him access. He is then able to click around, go through my settings, find the setting, and change it remotely. So this is gonna save you so much time from having to go and touch each panel individually when you wanna change something, when somebody's having an issue. He can just remote into that Android front end. He can look through all my settings. He can click around. He has full control. So that is a possibility. That remote piece is actually really awesome. I think it's one of my favorite things about this. Now, when I select my devices, again, I can filter them down, right? If I had more than one, it would be a little bit better to show, but I can filter them down. On the left side here, I'm gonna select one, all, however many I want. And on the top here, I have this little 3-dot menu. This is all of the different actions that I can take. So I'm gonna demonstrate a couple of them. Number one, we have install packages. You guys know Newline does not have a full-on Google Play Store in our panel. We don't need teachers downloading Fruit Ninja on here, even though we did it at a trade show and it was actually really cool. So what I can do here is I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry, do we have a question? Oh, it might have been a mute thing. You can keep going.
All good. All right. So from here, I can create a new package. So you can see the Newline team has been busy at work testing. Somebody went ahead and downloaded Netflix on their display, but I can come down here and I can hit add new, and this will allow me to create a new package. So I can do a file from URL, meaning I can just go to the Play Store, grab the URL for the application that I want, put it in here and push it out. I can also do other options if you have an APK file that you want to use. I personally use APK Pure, but that is neither here nor there. I can upload that file directly in here, select that file, upload it, push it to my display, it will download on here. So again, this will give you the capability of not only disabling applications you don't want, removing applications you don't want, but also then adding applications that are necessary. Now, what else can we do here? One of my favorite things is the settings configuration. Again, the settings are built into my display directly. So if I go to my settings here, I can again hit add new. It's a pretty simple process. It just kind of walks you through the steps. You would name your setting. I was doing a power test earlier. I would go down to my settings menu, scroll down, and now where's my energy saving mode, right? So I would toggle my energy saving mode on or off, decide how long I want that to time out, never, maybe 30 minutes, and I can push that setting to all of my displays. So if you're worried about somebody leaving the display on overnight, which you shouldn't be, this panel is rated 24/7 usage. If somebody leaves it on, nothing happens to it. So that's a beautiful thing. But we obviously don't want to waste extra energy that we don't need to, right? So you can set a settings configuration, auto power off at 8 p.m., right? Add that in. Once you create it, you would just select and hit apply. And it's going to apply that setting to whatever panels have been selected, whether it's one or multiple. So the settings part is one of my favorites again, because you can have kind of a uniform setting across all your districts. The auto power off is an easy one. 8 p.m. every night, they're gonna shut themselves down, right? Now, on top of that, we can shut them down remotely. So I can select shut down, and this will shut my panel off immediately. I can also restart it. So if I need to restart my display, just reboot it. I can do that right here. If your panels are hardwired with RJ45, they do have wake on LAN. The only requirement for that, besides obviously being connected with a LAN cable, hence the on LAN part, is you do have to have one active device, at least one active device on your network for it to be able to wake up the other devices. So that can be any device. But we do have wake on LAN, we do have restart and shut down just on Wi-Fi. The other thing I want to talk about is messaging. So we have advanced messaging and just simple text messaging. If I want to send out a message, have a great weekend, everyone, I would hit the send message option here. It's going to ask, what's the title? What's the body? What do you want to send? Again, I hit confirm. It will auto apply that to my display. Because Newline Display Management Plus is running on the Android interface, which is constantly on, whenever I send a message, it does not matter what source you're in. I can be on an OPS, an onboard computer. I can be on a dot camera that's connected. I can be on a laptop that's connected. This message will literally reach over the top of the display, regardless of source, and it will be on the front of the screen. And you have to click out of it. Okay? Simple text messages. The other thing we can do is advanced messaging. So right now, what I can do with that is, for example, if I have a fire drill upcoming at one of my sites, I can select those panels, right? Filter them down, select all those panels, set a message up. I can add a PDF with all of my fire exits, for example, and then I can also add a sound siren. When you go through that setup process, if you haven't created that file yet, somebody did a fire drill right here, you would just hit add new. It's gonna walk you through the steps of what you can add, right? So I would send out PDF, sound siren, hit apply, push it to all of my displays. Again, that reaches over the top, so it's gonna pop up over top. Let's go ahead and close that out. So we do have the advanced messaging. If you are wondering, as soon as we rolled this out, we did get request for a video portion to be able to broadcast video. That is on the roadmap, something that we're working on. Again, if you don't know this about Newline, if you're new to us, we do own the manufacturing, which means that we can make these kinds of changes. So we're working on the video piece. We have tags here. Don't hit the sound siren button. That was a rookie mistake that I made on one of my web demos. It is very loud, so you can test it out, but make sure you get it on video like I did. And then at the bottom, I have a couple of other options. So I can export to CSV. So what that will do is it'll export the details of all of my displays, including something like firmware. If you guys aren't aware of this, our firmware updates happen over the air. Sean mentioned those a little bit earlier. So once the panel is connected to the network, it will start receiving updates as soon as we push them out. If you have somebody that's notoriously skipping firmware updates, you can push those remotely by selecting your actions here and going down and updating the firmware. So it will allow you to push firmware updates remotely as well. And then I think I had a question pop up, and that was, does remote access require someone on site to authorize, or can remote access be had without someone granting access? Say I'm working on a problem after the teacher has left for the day. Yes, so on the left side right here, I have a little settings menu, and you will see remote control, require users permission for remote control access. Mine is toggled off, which means if I want to remote into my display, as long as it's on, I do not have to accept. You can toggle this on and off. Be aware, your user, your super admin will be notified if you turn that off. So, but yes, you can do it. I've had directors ask me, you know, what if we're trying to do some updates over the holiday break, spring break, things like that. You can remove the request access permissions. If the panels, if you have your panels running, then you can do that without anybody in the classroom at all. So you'd be able to remote into them. As far as our actions, basically, it's an MDM. Things that you do and
sorry, one more question just popped up.
Sure.
Can you quickly touch on setting up bell schedules?
Bell schedules.
Oh, it may be for probably for display for messaging.
I don't believe we can do bell schedules.
I mean, we could push out a PDF, you know, through the advanced messaging.
Yeah.
If you have a PDF with particular schedules, you can push that out.
Yes, and you can. I mean, you can add a sound file to it.
I think it was more for class periods, bell schedules.
I've never been asked that question. You can.
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, I believe if I'm reading the question correctly, I believe because like some like Wednesdays at schools can be a half day, for example, so they're on a different schedule for the day. So if I'm reading the question correctly, pushing out what the schedule is for that day, and you would be able to do that through the advanced messaging, be able to send out like a PDF of like, hey, we're on, we have an assembly today at 2:00, so we're on, our B schedule or whatever the case may be, and that can shoot out to all the panels.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood that completely.
Yes, that was correct. Yeah. And so I know that we're pressing up against time. We didn't want to take up a bunch of your time. Are there any other questions? And hopefully that was beneficial with helping with the accounts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to email everybody that got this invite. I'm going to email the instructions for setting up an account, the hard written instructions, and then there's also some tips. And then I will do that once we get the recording completed from Agata. I know a question popped in, so we'll get to that in 1 second here. And then obviously feel free to reach me out. If there's anybody on here that was forwarded the invite, I probably don't have your email address, so feel free to, you can email Agata. Her email address is on there, and we can, what's that?
I can pull a list of attendees.
Oh, you can? Oh, perfect. Okay, so we'll just email off of that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pull you a list of attendees, and you can see if there's anybody that wasn't on your list. I'll pull you a list, and I'll pull this recording for you. And then you can send out your follow-up.
Okay, awesome. And then there was one more question that popped up.
Yeah, so last question is, if you push out a message and a panel is turned off, will the message come up what it is powered on next? Yes, that is correct.
Oh, you muted.
Sorry, I was trying to close the chat screen. I wasn't paying attention. If the panel is turned off, a message is sent, you power the panel on, that message will pop up immediately. I know this, I have actually tested that feature, so yes.
Perfect. I think. Oh, go ahead. Oh, was that you? I think. Yeah, we'll stay. By the way, I know that we're right up against 2:30. We appreciate you coming on. We'll stay on for 1 or 2 more minutes if any questions pop up. But obviously, if you need to jump off, feel free to get off. And if you do have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat box or go ahead and shout them out verbally. Definitely appreciate you guys taking the time today. And if you have, if you need additional training on this stuff or additional questions with our panels, feel free to reach out. We can schedule some personal time aside from this and work with you on all that stuff.